युरी आलेमाव, आदले मुखेलमंत्री आणि आदले खासदार फ्रांसीस सार्दिन, पीसीसीचे ऑफिस बेरर्स, दोन्ही डिस्ट्रिक्टाचे अध्यक्ष, ब्लॉकाचे अध्यक्ष, फ्रंटल ऑर्गनायझेशन्स, मोबाळ भावनो आणि भयणीनो, नोव्हेंबर 1949 ह्या दिसा आम्ही तयार केल्ले संविधान म्हणजे घटना म्हणजे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन त्या दिसा मानून घेतले. ज्या विद्वान आणि बुद्धवंत लोकांनी हे संविधान तयार केले तांकां हांव सुरवेक अभिवादन करता आणि तुमकां सगळ्यांक आयच्या दिसाची उणीवणी पयली दिता. हे संविधान आमी जेन्ना आपणायले त्या दिसा पासून आयज मेरेन ताका 74 वर्सां पुराय जातात आणि 75वें वर्स सुरू जाता. म्हणून आमच्या पक्षान एक म्हयनोभर म्हणजे आयच्या 26 जानेवारी मेरेन वेगवेगळ्यो कार्यावळ्यो करपाचो आमकां आदेश दिला. संविधान म्हणजे एक पुस्तक, कोणी म्हणटलो हे एक पुस्तक, हे फक्त पुस्तक न्हय, हो फक्त एक डॉक्युमेंट न्हय. 140 भारतीय लोकांक ही एक ताची कॉपी हांगा आसा. 140 भारतीय लोकांक जगपाची दिशा दाखोवपी ही घटना तयार करपाक आमचे फुडारी पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू, डॉक्टर आंबेडकर, वल्लभभाई पटेल, के.एम. मुंशी, सरोजिनी नायडू, मौलाना अबुल कलाम आझाद आणि हे जे ते वांगडी आशिल्ले तांणी योगदान दिला. सगळो विचार करून तांणी ही घटना तयार केली आणि 26 नोव्हेंबर 1949 ह्या दिसा आम्ही ती आपणायली. आणि ताचे एक प्रियांबल आसा. ताची सुरवातच अशी जाता, वी द पीपल ऑफ इंडिया. पळयात ते प्रियांबल ताणें कशी सुरवात केली. वी द पीपल ऑफ इंडिया हॅविंग solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and to secure to all its citizens justice, liberty, equality and fraternity in our Constituent Assembly this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves this Constitution. या संविधानाची सुरुवात कशी जाता म्हणजे वी द पीपल ऑफ इंडिया हे इम्पॉर्टंट. सो हे संविधान आमकां दिसपट्टे जिणेंत मार्गदर्शन करता. पण कांय समाज विद्वाट्टे हे संविधान नष्ट करपाचो प्रयत्न करतात. अशा वेळार ह्या संविधानाचे रक्षण करप आमची सगळ्यांची लागून जावन आसा. न्याय, स्वातंत्र्य, समानताय आणि भावपण ही फक्त एक कल्पना न्हय, 140 कोटी भारतीयांची जगपाची ती वाट जावन आसा. ज्या पद्दतीन आम्ही या देशात स्वातंत्र्य मिळवपा खातीर एक चळवळ उबारली. तशेंच हे संविधान राखपा खातीर सांबाळून दवरपा खातीर वेळ पडल्यार आमकां तशीच चळवळ उबारची पडटली. हांव तुमचो चड वेळ घेना. आज आमचे मदीं एक नामनेचे वकील, एक पॉलिटिकल एनालिस्ट, एक कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल एक्सपर्ट एडवोकेट लेओपार्द अल्मेदा कुटिनो हे आमचे मदीं आसात. आमच्या आमंत्रणाक मान दिवन त्या हांगा आयिल्ले आसात. तुमच्या सगळ्यांच्या वतीन हांव तांकां उणवणीक येवकार दिता. आनी चड वेळ घेनासतना हांव मागता आमचे अध्यक्ष बाब अमित पाटकर हांचे लागीं की तांणी आयच्या आमच्या मुखेल सोयऱ्याक फुलां भेटोवन तांकां येवकार दिवचो. आणि मग देव बरें करूं. आनी आतां मागता आमचे मुखेल सोयरे आनी हेर जे मानेस्त आसात तांणी दिवळे पेटोवन आयच्या ह्या कार्यावळीची सुरवात करची. देव बरें करूं. कार्यावळीचे रितसर उक्तावण जाल्ले आसा. आनी चड वेळ घेनासतना आमचे मुखेल सोयरे हांगा आसात, ते मुखेल उलोवपी जावन आसात. पण ताचे पयलीं हांव मागता आमचे विरोधी पक्ष फुडारी बाब उडी आलेमाव हांणी आपले विचार व्यक्त करचे.
हांगा बसून आशिल्ले गोवा प्रदेश काँग्रेस कमिटीचे अध्यक्ष बाब अमित पाटकर, केपेंचे आमदार बाब एड्रेनी कोस्टा, तशेंच गोंयचे आदले मुखेलमंत्री आनी आदले गोंयचे दक्षिण गोंयचे खासदार बाब फ्रांसिस्को सार्दिन्या, आयचे दिसाचे कीनोट स्पीकर तशेंच एक फामाद सिनियर एडवोकेट, एक कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल एक्सपर्ट, एक बरो पॉलिटिकल एनालिस्ट एडवोकेट लेओपार्द कुटिनो, आमचे पार्टीचे सिनियर वायस प्रेसिडेंट बाब M.K. शेख, दुसरे नॉर्थ गोवाचे विरिंद, दक्षिण गोंयचे बाब साबियो, आमचे बाब अमरनाथ आनी म्हज्या वांगड काँग्रेसाचे भावंडो गोविंदो आबरवायच्या भुरग्यांक कालच्या दिसाक म्हाका दिसता देशभर काँग्रेस पक्षान एक बरी सुरवात केली अँड सुरवात एक प्रोग्राम करपाक संविधान रक्षक अभियान आणि जेन्ना ही सुरवात जाली 60 दिसाचो हो कार्यक्रम आमचे ऑल इंडिया काँग्रेस कमिटीचे सगळे देशभर हो प्रोग्राम करपाक आणि थोडेशी वस्तू हायलायट करपाक आज सुरवातेक बाबा M.K. शेखान जे सांगले आमी सदांच आभारी आमचे जे फोर फादर आशिल्ले दोतोर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकर पंडित नेहरूजी वल्लभभाई पटेलजी दुसरे हे सगळे टॉल लीडर जे आशिल्ले जे विजन आशिल्ले त्यांचे मुखार आणि आमचे खास करून दोतोर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकराचे जो एक लॉ मिनिस्टर आशिल्लो आणि खूप एक्सपिरियन्स आशिल्ले आणि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन जेन्ना तेणे आमकां दिलें कालच्या दिसाक आमी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन डे म्हणून सेलिब्रेट जाले म्हाका दिसता आज गरज आहा खास करून 5 मुद्द्याचेर जेन्ना आमचे कालच्या दिसाक पार्टीचे प्रेसिडेंटाक एक प्रेसान सांगून सगळ्यांक गोंयभर आमच्या भावांक पार्टीच्या व्हॉलेंटियरांक तशेंच एक कॉन्स्टिट्युएन्सीचो प्रोग्राम जाता म्हणून ऑलरेडी अनाउन्स केलेले आहा आनीक बेसिकली 5 मुद्दे हायलायट करपाचे आमी चिंतलेले आहेत आणि एक म्हणटाय तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इन द फायट फॉर इक्वॅलिटी दॅट इज द फर्स्ट की थीम देर आर 5 थीम्स आनीक बेसिकली जेन्ना आज कंडिशन्स येयल्यात फॉर दी ओबीसी फॉर दी एसटी मायनॉरिटीज खंय ना खंय आमकां दिसता वी आर victims basically the tribes, women, elderly and the youth जो संविधानाचेर आमकां जो एक रायट जावपाक जाय आशिल्लो तो मेळपाक जाय आशिल्लो ते आमचे दोतोर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकराचे आशिल्ले we see that in the last 10 years during this BJP regime in both the state and the center there is a constitutional crisis दुसरे जे आमकां जे प्रोटेक्शन गॅरंटी दिलेली प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ रिजर्वेशन गॅरंटीड बाय द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन हे खंय ना खंय आमकां दिसता की खास करून कास्ट सेन्सस इन द काँग्रेस बेस्ड states have already been started. We have demanded for that abolition of discrimination. खास करून a core this is a core constitutional value. So we need to concentrate on this as well. ज्या पद्धतीन ह्यो भ्रष्ट जुमला पार्टीचो बीजेपीचो मायनॉरिटीक टार्गेट करता एसटी लोकांक टार्गेट करता ओबीसी लोकांक टार्गेट करता हो म्हाका दिसता खास करून इट इज व्हेन वी से दॅट व्हॉट इज रिटन इन द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन अन्याय आमचेर करपाक हे बीजेपीचे लोक आज मुखार सरलेले आहेत चवथो जो एक थोडेशे कॅपिटलिस्ट लोकांक प्रोटेक्ट करपाक आमचे जेन्ना संविधानान जेन्ना आमी हे बीजेपीचे डिवायसिव पॉलिटिक्स करता खास करून फ्यू क्रोनी कॅपिटलिस्ट आर प्रोटेक्टेड जावं अडानी जावं अंबानी आनी जे व्हडले जे इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट आहा ते व्हडले जायत आसता but the poor are being marginalized by the failed policies of this Bhrasht Jumla party. So it is the need of the hour that we save our democracy and our freedom that is guaranteed by the constitution. We cannot trust this Bharatiya Janata Party. आमकां सगळ्यांक खबर आहा जे आमचो पार्टीचो लीडर बाब राहुल गांधी कन्याकुमारी तो काश्मीर गेलो आनी when he went सगळ्या लोकांक तेणे एक मार्ग दिले एक विजन तेगेलें आशिल्लें टू टेक ऑल ऑफ अस टुगेदर and we could definitely see the implication in the parliamentary election that was just concluded Today, BJP's attack on freedom of speech, misuse of agencies, we call them ED, CBI, the police, the magistrate, today are become like caged parrots. Oika thinga opposition are bond korpak, voice bond korpak, प्रयत्न करेंगे, नालले है, माका दिसता, we need to protect our country from all this type of politics that was never seen during the Congress regime. आणि खास करून जे फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच जेन्ना आमचे आहा गोंयांत जे घडटा ते तुमकां खबर आसा मुखेलमंत्री म्हणटालो गोंयांत अर्बन नॅक्सल आहाय कॉलिंग NGOs urban nexus, calling activists urban nexus. आम्ही जेन्ना एक प्रयत्न केलो विधानसभेन प्रश्न घातलो जेन्ना मुखेलमंत्री म्हणले गोंयांत अर्बन नॅक्सल आहाय म्हणून whether any cases have been registered in any police station, in the home department about or whether any urban nexus exists. Answer was no cases. So म्हाका दिसता जे vindictive politics आज BJP चे आसा RSS चे आहा. We have seen this when our leader Rahul Gandhi was basically disqualified as member of parliament. This was absolutely म्हाका दिसता unconstitutional. आणि जेन्ना हे डिस्क्वालिफिकेशन जालें आणि जो मुद्दो आज या बीजेपीचो आहा ऑपोजिशन मुक्त भारत हे करपाक म्हाका दिसता बीजेपी they don't take time to disqualify or stifle the voices of the opposition, but the mass defection खास करून Goa is known for the 10th schedule. आणि हे एंटी डिफेक्शन लॉ जेन्ना आमी जेन्ना हेचेर उलयतना आज जे स्पीकर जो आमचो आहा ही should not be a puppet. Speakers should not be puppets. They are the highest body in the constitution. आणि म्हाका दिसता हुंय ना हुंय जे गोंयांत आज घडटा giving the defectors a clean sheet is disrespecting the constitution. Is our constitution safe? Are we safe? BJP's new coinage is एक है तो safe है. हे आते मी हे महाराष्ट्राच्या गावांत केलें पूण म्हाका खबर ना आज हे मायनॉरिटी ST, SC, OBC भाव कित्याक टार्गेट करपाक सोदता आनी this laboratory that they did in various states will not work in the state of Goa. Goa has always we have lived in communal harmony. आम्ही जावं हिंदू, क्रिस्ताव, मुसलमान भाव सदांच आम्ही एकठांय रावलेले आहा. Recently, we see that Goa is reeling under the threat of cash for jobs scam. When I say threat, the threat is because the whole process of administration. As the whole process of administration gets affected, people who are giving the bribe and taking the bribe, this is a criminal act. And you see the effect of this in the lives of the daily lives of the people. That आज जेन्ना हे भुरगे मेरिट नासतना जरी तो रेंगेले हे सिलेक्ट जाता जाल्यार मुखार एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन कितें जातलें म्हाका दिसता हेजेर आमी लोकां मदें वचपाक जाय. When we raised the issue, पंच्या दिसाक आमच्या पार्टीच्या प्रेसिडेंटाक अरेस्ट केले, खासदाराक अरेस्ट केलो. I believe that आमचे keynote speaker will speak on whether it was constitutional that put a ban on a political party like the Congress party from protesting in Panjim for 6 months. This is something that we are challenging in the court. But intun dakhun dita, this is basically there are puppets also moving around. I call them puppets because BJP has become a factory, and to basically divergent Korpak issue from the main issue they are diverting. There is a threat to our constitution. It was said by their member of parliament, Anand Kumar, that the constitution will be changed if they get their numbers of 400 par. It was not said by the Congress party, it was said by Anand Kumar himself. So, Makadista, be it parliament or assembly, the experience that we have as legislators. I have my colleague Elton De Costa here as well. The way we are not allowed on the session today itself in Parliament was adjourned because of the Adani scandal. No one wants to debate on it. It is not only a national issue, they are playing with the lives of the people of this country because of corrupt individuals being protected. Assemblies have been curtailed. Assemblies, I believe, in the Goa Assembly is the least number of days in the country. Least number of days आमकां हे सेशन घेवपाक म्हाका दिसता प्रयत्न जाता तो हुंय ना हुंय रायट टू इक्वेलिटी आर फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच जे आमचे महान दोतोर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकराचे पंडित नेहरूचे काँग्रेस पक्षाचे जे विजन आशिल्ले हुंय ना हुंय हे भ्रष्ट जुमला पार्टी seems to be basically trying to get into anti-democratic elements, trying to non-state actors, trying to get into our state and spoil the communal harmony that we are known for. I would not possibly go into issues, technical issues with the constitution when we have our keynote speaker today. But I would only like to say that several issues pertaining to Goa, be it Goa's land issues, farmers, GST, inflation, communal disharmony, yes, for issue here, Brashta Jumla Party, Urpak Sota, the party headed by the Chief Minister Dr. Pramod Sawant is basically here to only divert the attention of Goans. The corruption that is happening, the highest authority that we have is the Speaker. The Speaker himself is not happy with the progress of the minister. So what does this show is there's nothing but heavy corruption happening and all diversionary tactics. Ami or program म्हाका दिसता आमच्या पार्टीचे अध्यक्षान सांगला we will move across all the states in the next 60 days. I look forward that all of us with the Congress party, we may it be door-to-door campaign, may it be meetings, may it be small meeting now, Jahir Sabha, our door-to-door campaign, our party president will give us the vision that the party has. Once again, I would like to thank all of you for coming here and giving me an opportunity to say a few words. Jai Hind, Jai Goa.
देव बरें करूं तुजी बाब तुमी बरे विचार मांडले आता हांव मागता गोंय प्रदेश काँग्रेस समितीचे अध्यक्ष अमित पाटकर हांणी आपले विचार मांडचे.
आयच्या ह्या संविधान रक्षक अभियान प्रोग्रामाक हाजीर आशिल्ले गोंय राज्याचे विरोधी पक्ष फुडारी बाब इंद्रिया लेमाव, आमचे गोंय असेंब्लीचे तसेच केपें मतदारसंघाचे आमदार बाब एल्टन, आदले मुखेलमंत्री तसेच आदले दक्षिण गोंयचे खासदार बाब फ्रांसिस्को सार्दिना आणि हांगा जमिल्ले सगळे गोंय प्रदेश काँग्रेस कमिटीचे ऑफिस बेरर्स, आमचे दोनूय डिस्ट्रिक्टाचे अध्यक्ष, तांचे ब्लॉक अध्यक्ष आणि फ्रंटलाचे चेअरमॅन आणि तांचे सगळे पदाधिकारी, आमचो मिडिया चेअरमॅन आणि इतर हांगा सगळे जमिल्ले सगळ्यांक येवकार आणि नमस्कार. आमचे सिनियर व्हायस प्रेसिडेंट बाब M.K. शेकान काल जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन डे 24 नोव्हेंबर 1950 जेन्ना ह्या देशाचो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन एडॉप्ट जालो, आता काल 75 वर्सां जाली आणि ह्या कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनान कितें अधिकार आमकां आसा किंवा ह्या कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनाच्या आधाराचेर ह्या देशाच्या लोकांक कितें प्रोटेक्शन मेळटा हाचेर विस्तारान आयकपाक आज आमच्या मदीं आसा द कीनोट स्पीकर, जे एक पॉलिटिकल एनालिस्ट, एक सिनियर काउन्सिल एडवोकेट, तसेच कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल एक्सपर्ट एडवोकेट क्लिओफार कुतिनो, जाका आयकपाक आमी सगळे हांगा आयल्यात. सो हांव चड वेळ घेना, कित्याक नाजाल्यार मागीर दोतोर म्हणटले की तुम्हीच सगळे उलयले मरे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनाचेर आनी आमकां कांय धरून ना. म्हाका दिसता मोठ्या रुपेन आमी हांगा सगळे हाजीर जाल्यात तांकां आयकपाक. आमचे विरोधी पक्ष फुडाऱ्यान सांगले की आज गोंयांत विविध जे इश्यू आसात, करप्शन आसतले, जे गोंयचे जागे जमनी हे सरकार विकपाक उठला, आज ज्यो बेसिक फेसिलिटी आसा, लायट आसतले, उदक आसतले, रस्ते आसतले, किंवा एक मनीस जगपाक जाका आरोग्य गरजेचे आसता, ह्यो फेसिलिटी आमकां मेळटा काय कितें? आमचे जे अधिकार, जे आमचे लिडर श्री राहुल गांधी, म्हाका दिसता हो खूब बरोच फेमस जाल्लो आसा, म्हज्या उजव्या हातीक जो आमी फोटो लायला, आमचे लिडर श्री राहुल गांधी प्रत्येक सभेक, प्रत्येक भाशणान प्रत्येक नागरिकाक या देशाचे याद करून दिता की हे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ इंडिया जो आसा, ज्याच्या अनुसार जे आमकां अधिकार मेळ्ळे किंवा ज्याच्या अनुसार जे आमकां रायट्स आसा, ते खंय तरी हे बीजेपी RSSचे सरकार गेल्ली 10 वर्सां आमचो आवाज दामपाचो प्रयत्न करता, आमचे ते अधिकार आसा ते काढून घेवपाचो प्रयत्न करता. सो हाजेर विस्तारान आमी आमचे सिनियर एडवोकेट बाब फिलोफाता कडेन आयकुया. पूण ह्या कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनान बरयल्ले किंवा त्या वेळा वयले आमचे देशाचे पयले प्रधानमंत्री पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू, इतर तांचे सगळे वांगडी, आणि खास करून डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकर, ज्यांनी आपली पुराय टिमी बरोबर बसून हे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बरोवन काडले. त्याच बरोबर तांचे वांगडी वल्लभभाई पटेल, के मुंशी, सरोजिनी नायडू, मौलाना अब्दुल कलाम आझाद आणि इतर सगळे लोक ज्यांनी सहभाग केलो हो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बरोवपाक. म्हाका दिसता आज आमी तांकां याद करपाची गरज आसा, तांचे विचार घेवन मुखार वचपाची गरज आसा. आणि सगळ्यात महत्वाचे म्हणल्यार बाबासाहेब आंबेडकरान ह्या कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनान बरयल्लें आसा की however good a constitution may be, if those who are implementing it are not good, it will prove to be bad. आणि म्हाका दिसता गेल्ली 10 वर्सां जे वाक्य बाबासाहेब आंबेडकरान जे सांगिल्ले ते खंय तरी आज खरें ठरता. कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनान बरयला आसत, पूण जे लोक आज राज्य करता किंवा जे लोक, ज्या लोकांच्या हातीन आज सत्ता आसा, ते लोक जर तर सारखे ना जाल्यार ह्या कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन वो बॅड जावपाक शकता. आणि ते म्हाका दिसता गेल्ली 10 वर्सां आमी पळयतात की कशा पद्दतीन वो सरकार आमचो आवाज दामपाचो प्रयत्न करता. फुडले 60 दीस गोंय प्रदेश काँग्रेस कमिटी पुराय 40 मतदारसंघ, आमचे दोनूय डिस्ट्रिक्ट अध्यक्ष तसेच आमचे बाकीचे इतर कमिटी, आमचो प्रयास आसतलो की प्रत्येक मतदारसंघान आमी इफेक्टिव्ह कॅम्पेन, इफेक्टिव्ह मेसेजिंग बोथ ऑनलाइन एज वेल एज ऑफलाइन, तशेंच वेगळ्या वेगळ्या भागांनी रॅलीज, डोर टू डोर आउटरीच, जे वेगळ्या वेगळ्या मतदारसंघांत जे कोर इश्यूज आसा ताचेर प्रोटेस्ट, मिडिया बरोबर फुडले 60 दीस एंगेजमेंट आणि ग्रासरूटाचेर आमचे डिस्कशन, हे म्हाका दिसता महत्वाचे. फुडल्या 60 दिसांक गोंय प्रदेश काँग्रेस कमिटी हो कार्यक्रम, हे अभियान घडोवन हाडटा आणि ताची सुरवात आयच्यान ही आमी सुरू केल्ली आसा. सो हे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनाचे अधिकार किंवा ह्या कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन जातून आमकां अधिकार जे मेळ्ळे ते कशा पद्दतीन आमी हे लोकां मेरेन व्हरपाक जाय किंवा ताचें म्हत्व कितें, हे आमी आमचे आयचे की स्पीकर जे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल एक्सपर्टूय आसात, एडवोकेट क्लोफात कुटिनो, हांचे कडल्यान आमी आयकुया. आणि ह्या कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनाचे विचार आणि ह्या कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनाची आयडिया घेऊन आमी प्रत्येक मतदारसंघात, प्रत्येक दारान, प्रत्येक घरान, प्रत्येक वोटराकडे पावोवपाचो आमी प्रयत्न करूया. आज जी युवा पिढी आसा गोंय राज्याची, ती आज युवा पिढी तळमळटा. अक्षरशः आज युवा पिढीक आज जॉब ना. आमी फाटल्या दिसांनी एक म्हयनो पयले की कशा पद्दतीन ह्या सरकारान गोंय राज्याक नंबर 1 म्हणून दवरला इन टर्म्स ऑफ अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट. आणि जो आमचो युवा आसा तो आज खंय तरी मजबूर जावन जॉब ताका विकते घेवचे पडटा. हे सगळे विशय घेवन आमी लोकां मेरेन वतले फुडले 7 दीस. सो आयच्या ह्या कार्यक्रमाक हांव तुमकां सगळ्यांक परत एकदा वेलकम करता आनी आमी आमचे आयचे की स्पीकर एडवोकेट क्लियोपात्र कुटिनो हांकां आयकपाक आमी आज हांगा आयिल्ले आसा. हांव वाट पळयता आनी म्हाका दिसता आमी सगळे ते विचार घेवन आमकां प्रत्येक लोकां मेरेन वचपाची गरज आसा. देव बरें करूं.
देव बरें करूं. Now I invite Advocate Cleopat Coutinho to deliver his keynote address.
GPCC President Akarwa, Leader of Opposition Yuri Lemon, Amdar Elder, Ex-Secretary Fardina, my friend M.K. Sheikh, आणि सगळे जमिल्ले तुम्ही काँग्रेस पार्टीचे वांगडी शेखान सांगलें नामनेचो वकील म्हणून आनीक बरी सांगता सिनियर काउन्सिल. आय हॅव बीन टीचिंग कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन फॉर 34 years. Almost 3.5 decades I have taught this subject, and possibly that is the reason why I will have to shift to the language of my lecture. And तुमची परवानगी घेता कोंकणी इंग्लिश दोन्ही उलोवप. 2-3 गोष्टी सांगपाचे आहाय म्हळ्यार one thing is Constitution is given by Ambedkar. Ambedkar was the chairman of the drafting committee. The draft was prepared by one B.N. Rao. Nehru had a big role to play in the deliberations of the Constitution. I can tell you that they start killing Constitution somewhere in November 1946. At that time there was no independence. And when they started framing of the Constitution, the language for India they thought about was not Hindi. It was Hindustani, which could be written in both the scripts. So that was the language which they started. But after partition, that was not possible. So finally, Hindi came, and the question of whether Hindi should be the national language or official language also came up. And there was a lot of disagreement on Hindi as a national language, particularly from the states. And when it was settled that Hindi would be the official language, Pandit Nehru said that English must continue for 15 years at that time, because the entire administration was in English, and he felt that the lower sections, the poor people, will not have access to English if it is made only Hindi. If we have English running along with Hindi in the entire country, it is the singular contribution of Pandit Nehru. Like on almost every issue, Pandit Nehru had something to say. So if you look into the debates, you will find that his contribution is monumental. दुसरी सांगपा म्हळ्यार सी आमगे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनाक आता 75 years जातली. सांगताय ते प्रमाणे no written constitution survives, or sorry, the average life of a written constitution is only 17 years, 17. American is about 200 years, more than 200 years. We have crossed, almost we are crossing now 75 years. So actually, it's a great achievement to run a country with a written constitution. See, when a constitution is in writing, you can't change the basic document. And that is why our constitution was made very flexible. And the flexible दवरूनय आम कित्या बऱ्या पडले and कितली बऱ्या पडले ते पळया. Because flexible दवरले the framework of the constitution, भरपूर flexible दवरले. आता आमी more than 100 amendments केले to the constitution. पूण ते करपाक पडलेच जाय आशिल्ली ताची गरज आसली. See, when Goa was liberated, the constitution had to be amended to make provision for an administrator. So one amendment. When Goa Assembly Union Territory was formed, constitution is again amended to make provision for 36. Don't tell. When we became statehood in 87, one more amendment. In 93, Konkani was introduced, another amendment. So Ashar Char. So like this you can see how constitutional amendments are required. How can Samvidhan back? Nitin Gadkari told what can constitution mean? You people have been amending it 100 times. But because it has been amended 100 times and because it has been changed with changing times, we have come to these 75 years. If it was made a static document, maybe we would have collapsed. The country would have collapsed. All the countries which became free in 1947, only one country is surviving as a democracy. What does it mean? How many times Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka changed their constitutions, Malaysia, all countries in Asia which were free in 47, they are no longer democracies. We are the only democracy and a country with a democratic culture. Now that is because our constitution was made flexible, it had to be changed with changing times. It is like this. When independence then now certain drastic laws were there in the constitution. And BJP still tells us that these laws were introduced by the Congress party. But imagine at that time, 8 million people shifted to Pakistan and 7 million people came to India. It is the biggest migration in world history. Biggest migration in world history. So many people have never migrated in the world at any time. So in this biggest migration in world history, there were thousands of deaths. Thousands of deaths and killings. Now the constitution was getting framed in that situation. We will find immediately after independence, we had 2 major wars, 62 and 65. Now there are no wars, we are not facing any wars. But major wars, then you will find that our literacy was 16%. Today it may be about 85%. We were producing something like 8 million tons of food grains. Now we must be producing 50 million tons or more. See, we have come out of poverty, we have come out of illiteracy because of this constitution. And what did the constitution say? Patkar said that I should go into the nitty-gritties. See, In the Constitution, there is a chapter called Rights chapter. Rights, it's your right. It's your right. And then there is another chapter called Directive Principles, what the state must do. And like I have a freedom of speech. Freedom of speech. Some landlord had right to own property. He had a right to own property. It was his right to own property. At the same time, it was the obligation of the state to see that poverty is brought down. Obligation of the state. So, almost from 50 onwards, up to the year 1974, for nearly 25 years, the parliament and the courts have been fighting over this. And every time the constitution had to be amended, because the Congress government was nibbling little bit into right to property. And why they were doing it? They were doing it because they wanted right to property not to come in the way of zamindari abolition, tenancy laws, nationalization laws, creating monopolies in favor of the state, and all this was coming in the way of the government, because the courts were not permitting the government to nibble or remove little bit of property, the little bit of rights, they would not permit. And the Congress party has been trying to nibble little bit, remove a little bit of property, another piece of property, every now and then bring such legislations as it would help the parliament. And not only bring legislations, amend the constitution every now and then to see that these laws are saved. Like our Munkar law and the Agricultural Tenancy Act is saved in the 9th schedule. See, it was struck down. Our Agricultural Tenancy law was struck down by the High Court. Our Munkar law was struck down by the High Court. It is not that these laws were good laws. The court said these are bad laws. But because in the year 1951, there was a separate schedule created called the 9th schedule. These laws were placed in the 9th schedule and nobody could challenge those laws. See, it is this type of changes that the government was doing, the parliament was bringing the amendments so that these laws are saved. Like I will say that there was a huge privy purses that Scindia's father was getting every month. Huge amount of money from the government. It was decided that the privy purses be abolished. Now, it was promised to him that had to be saved by another amendment. So basically we will find that every time changes are made to be in tune with the government. So 35th Amendment whereby Sikkim is added to the Indian Union. Sikkim. Then there was dispute between Chogyal, the ruler, and the Indian government. Another amendment to see that his rights are taken away. Now, somebody will say you are bringing amendments like this, but these amendments are such that they are the need of the hour. They were required. मुख्यभाषेत फक्त 2 amendments सोडली जायत. They were during emergency brought by Indira Gandhi. One is to save her own position. And दूसरा, certain parts of 42nd Amendment, all amendments were required. All amendments were required. See, during the freedom movement, it was decided that we will have states on language basis. Once you decide that, and once there is a move to have on language basis, constitution had to be amended because the boundaries had to be changed. Boundaries had to be, state boundaries have to be changed. In 1960, the then state of Bombay had to be bifurcated. So again another law, another change there. Gujarat is formed, state of Punjab is formed. So all this required changes. And all these changes were required at that time. See, when BJP people say that you have amended the constitution 100 times, keep in mind that the constitution came after 200 years of a colonial rule. 200 years of colonial rule, and then you have a written constitution. So that written constitution will have to change. It will have to change because the requirement of change is there. But every time we look at a change, we will find, is that change good or bad? That is the question that we will have to answer. Like, we will find one of the biggest principles of our constitution is independence of judiciary. Independence of judiciary, that the courts must be independent. The first thing after coming to power in 2015, the present regime did was to bring a NJAC, National Judicial Commission, which was struck down by the Supreme Court. They wanted to have primacy in the choice of judges. Now, another fundamental feature of our constitution is federal structure. And in federal structure, we will have to see one important issue that they are coming forward is one nation, one election. See, this one nation, one election is hitting hard at the federal structure. Ours is not a unitary country. We are not one. We are a diverse country. And our diverse country has to be celebrated. Our diversity has to be celebrated. So, this one nation, one election, if the constitution is amended for one nation, one election, again I feel that this would be a retrograde step. See, we have to protect our constitution from such laws. Now they are going to change the constitution. They are not going to change the constitution. They will keep the constitution as it is, but nimble it, remove a little bit from here, little bit from there. Like, where is the agencies? Where is the independence of the agencies today? See, if elections are to be held independently, then how it can happen that only opposition leaders go inside? So my thing is that we will have to also protect all our institutions, because when we gave the constitution, it was a long document, and that long document gave rights, what the state should do. In 1975, they added a chapter on duties of the citizens also. Like, one of the greatest duty which was incorporated therein was to have scientific temper. So, our behavior should be scientific. It can't be old thinking which has no scientific basis. So, even that part was introduced in 1975 because as a part of fundamental duties, that we should have scientific thinking. One more thing I would like to tell you is, the Constitution was adopted on 26 November 1949. Why was it kept up to 26 January? It is because the Indian National Congress at its 1930 session decided to have that Purn Swaraj. The Purn Swaraj slogan was given in 1930, and to keep that day, 26 November 1930, they gave the constitution on 26 November 1950. See, our constitution has been amended number of times, and if you look at the amendments, most of the amendments are in favor of social justice. Most of them. They either deal with reservations, continuation of reservations, creating commissions, like there were 2 commissions created in the year 19... in the year 19... There are 2 commissions created, ST Commission and SC Commission. They had to be created by amending the Constitution. And when you will realize that when the Constitution is amended, amendments take the force of that Constitution. Like from the year 1967 onwards, there has been a demand for anti-defection law. Now they brought the anti-defection law. They brought it because it was a need of the hour. Because the whole concept of Abhiyaan was there at that time. Then they realized that this amendment which they have brought are no good. It was amended to do away with split, because at that time it was split that was a major issue. In Goa, we are the biggest. We have done a great study on split right from the time of Dr. Wilfred D'Souza, then Ravi Naik. We have done very well on that. But the split was done away with. But they kept merger. They did not remove merger. Split only they removed. Now we have realized that over a long period, speakers are not functioning as independent authority. So time has come again to amend the Constitution, to bring in an amendment which says that even merger has to be removed. No merger also. One, the speaker will decide within a time frame or remove the speaker. I would say go a bit further and say this will be decided by the Election Commission, or it will be decided by the High Court itself. Something like that. But then they have to change it. And they have to change because Constitution has to be changed with changing times. It has to be changed with changing times. But we cannot change it in a retrograde manner. We can't change it in a non-progressive manner. We can't change the Constitution that will attack, say, democracy, that will attack federal structure, that will attack the independence of the judges, that will attack our freedom. So, if we look at this entire situation, in fact, some days back I was doing an article for Naveen Times which appeared yesterday. I was looking at this liberty, somebody is arrested and released. So in that discussion, they did not want, there was a discussion over whether life and liberty should be kept in the hands of Parliament, future Parliaments, or they themselves should decide. Because they were very wary of what would happen in case the governments that come next don't adhere to the principles of freedom, democracy, and equality. Now, if you look at the functioning of our Constitution, there can be no doubt that our constitution has stood the test of time. When it came to important principles, like property, the parliament mastered the courage and removed it from the fundamental rights. Like property is no longer a fundamental right. That was done in the year 1975. No longer a fundamental right. They thought that this property, right to property is coming in the way of social welfare. Right to property is coming in the way of the parliament making social welfare laws. And hence, it was decided that we will do away with that property. So property is deleted from the fundamental rights. So when you see, it is like this. The founding fathers gave a right to property to the citizens. But after 25 years, they come to the conclusion that this right to property is coming in the way of social justice. So remove it. And they removed it. Now, somebody will say that you are taking away my right. Yes, that right is taken away and has been constitutionally upheld, and then they say that it had to be taken away because the constitution swears by a social secular republic. We wanted to have a social secular republic. And if we are to have a social secular republic, then the parliament is bound to make laws of, say, Zamindari abolition, nationalization. See, nationalization laws, Zamindari abolition laws, tenancy laws, these may not look good in 2024. We may today look at them as something that our leaders did bad. But we are looking at it after 50 years, after 60 years, after 70 years. Those laws were the need of the hour at that time. At that time they were required. And these laws were required because there was too much of poverty. One. Too much of inequality at that time. So that poverty and inequality had to be done away with by bringing such laws. Now, Yuri tells me that there is again inequality, that there is crony capitalism. Say we are coming full circle. Like if we say somewhere in 2022, 2023, our inequality has increased to such an extent that we are today almost in tune with Brazil when it comes to inequality index. We are not very high, but one thing has happened. We have a huge middle class. That middle class was not there at that time. It is there today. Now all these laws which were made over so many years helped the government pull out poor people and have this huge middle class which we talk about as the aspirational class. The middle class is coming up. Yes, they are coming up. But at the same time, the gap between not the middle class is not bothered about anything. Actually, they are not bothered about constitution, they are not bothered about freedom, the middle class is not bothered about anything. That poor and the crony capitalism which Yuri was talking about, that is increasing. In fact, constitution mandates that this must not happen, that there has to be equality. The gap between rich and poor has to be brought down. It has to be brought down by law. That is the mandate of the constitution. I'll just read out how it is. See, 39B. The ownership and control of material resources of the community are so distributed to best serve the common good. The operation of economic system does not result in the concentration of wealth and means of production to the common detriment. Now this is the responsibility of the state to see that the gap between rich and poor is brought down. is the responsibility of the state. They have been doing it, they did it in the manner they felt was correct. Maybe there were certain failures, like there is a big charge against Nehru himself that the socialist pattern which he brought about gave the license permit Raj. I am not denying that fact also, but then we cannot deny the fact that we are a poor country. We cannot deny the fact that we are an unequal country. Our constitution must be used in bringing down that inequality. One. Number two, we must protect our constitution because it gives us liberty, it gives us democracy, it gives us federalism, it gives us a great form of government, which is where the courts shall decide whether your law is good or bad, and that courts must also be independent. So if we look at it holistically, we will find that the document, the most sacred document they gave us in the year 1950 is doing well, and as Amit read out the last words from Ambedkar's speech, maybe it has fallen into wrong hands, but even if it falls into wrong hands, we should see to it that it remains as it is. I think I have taken some time, but I am open to take any issue, any question.
One of the features
Yes.
is positive discrimination towards women and children.
Pardon?
The Constitution has positive discrimination sections.
Yes.
Positive discrimination.
Yes. See, positive discrimination section. See, what happens is, we all talk of equality. And when you say equality can never be amongst equals, unequals. Equality will have to be amongst equals. And if there are two unequals, then that is that little step which you give them, help them, is positive discrimination. See, it looks bad, but you have used the correct word. That word reservation does not sound good to the ear, but if we use the word positive discrimination, it may be better. But positive discrimination is nothing but reservation. See, even in America it is there. If Condoleezza Rice could become the Secretary of State, it is because she had a free entry into the university in her college days. Otherwise, she would have not reached where she reached. So it is not that it is not there. It is there also. They call it positive discrimination. We call it reservation, and we call, particularly the middle class, we don't call positive reservation a good thing. We don't like reservation. The middle class in particular don't like reservation. So they feel that they have been robbed. But that robbing is because of hundreds of years of a situation by which they have suffered. So it is to positively discriminate in favor of that section.
Sir,
Yes.
please, on 10th schedule, jumping frog.
Yeah.
How the 10th schedule is going to protect jumping frog?
See, 10th schedule, actually if you ask me, 10th schedule requires to be amended by removing the word merger. No merger. Because small states like Goa, northeastern states, where there are small numbers, 2/3 has become very easy. So merger should be removed. And the power to decide must not be in the speaker, it should go directly to the High Court. Directly to the High Court, not to the speaker anymore. Because no speaker has acted fairly. Not only in Goa, nowhere in the country have they acted fairly or not in tune with what the Chief Minister wants. Always.
regarding the amendment of a constitution.
Yeah.
When the INC did the constitution, and they knew that India was a secular country, why wasn't the word secular put there, amended? Now can it be reversed back what we
See, that word secular, see, it is like creating a problem. See, it is not that they did not debate it. In fact, on this itself, whether secular should be in the constitution or not, there has been a big debate. And after a long debate, they said, not required, because we are already a secular country. Not required. So many provisions. We have Article 25, freedom of religion. We have Article 26. We have Article 30, that is minority rights. Then 31. So many provisions are there where they said this is not required. Now you will say why it was brought in. Now it was brought in because after 25 years, they realized that the laws were being interpreted. Were being interpreted because this word socialism was not there. So it was not brought for secularism. It was brought for socialism. They realized that the word socialism is required to interpret the laws that the parliament is making, to positively interpret in favor of socialism. At that time they brought secularism also. But in 75 you will realize the current issue of socialism, secularism, communalism was not there. It was not there in 75. It may have been there, but on a very low scale, for it was never on the table as it is currently.
But now the present government is manipulating that particular.
No, but now that issue is also settled. At least for now. At least for now it is settled. But if somebody wants to change, keeping those words, also we will do that. Yes.
How will we protect and safeguard our constitution for posterity?
You can safeguard your constitution for posterity, maybe through elections only. At least that is the mode given by the constitution. See, there is a separate chapter on elections, and ours is a electoral democracy. But what is also happening is this electoral democracy is going into what we call majoritarian democracy. That is the problem. It was not realized at that time that it could be this way. But then that is the mode. We will have to fight back. We will have to keep fighting. We will have to, like you will find, I think Parker is the issue of our lands. See, all of us know that Article 370 went. 370 went, okay, there was no issue. But along with 370, 35A was deleted. Now 35A was a provision whereby the land in Jammu and Kashmir could not be sold to outsiders. This 35A, that was also deleted. Now, the present government is, of course, it is talking about one country, it is talking about a unitary system, it removed 35A. In that situation, I find it very difficult that your whole vision of protecting your land could at all come about under the present set of thinking. Because they don't believe in your land or my land. They believe in the whole.
After deleting 35A, Adani has become the majority producer of apple in India.
So that is how it is.
I mean, I don't know which Adani generations were there in Jammu Kashmir to produce apple.
Yes.
See, if you see the anti-defection law,
Yeah.
the independents which get elected are guided by the anti-defection law very thoroughly. They are guided by the law very thoroughly and stringently, whereby they are not allowed to merge or go into any party once they get elected. Why this same type of system cannot be applied to political representatives or political MLAs who get elected on certain party, whereas they have the liberty to jump from one side to the other side, was split away with as a group.
See, correct. See, what happens is, what you are saying is required now. But at that time, the thinking was different. The thinking was different because, SP is controlled by Akhilesh Yadav. DMK is controlled by Stalin. Mamata Banerjee controls TMC. The Gandhis control Congress. The Modi Shah controls BJP. If you look at this, parties come in the hands of one or two individuals. Now, imagine a situation when these individuals control the mind of all the entire party. See, the thinking at that time was also good that there should not be party bossism. If we don't allow them to split, if we don't allow them to merge, there could be party bossism. That was what was sought to be protected. We do not want party bossism. That was sought to be protected. But now we are finding that the remedy is worse than the disease. See, if you give a remedy which is worse than the disease, then you have to go back to your original thinking.
Sir, Goa, how much land can be purchased by outside the state?
What is that?
Original land owner is there.
What is
How
that?
much quantity of land can be bought?
There is no limit. There is no limit. He is a citizen of the country. He will continue to buy.
Yeah, that will.
He will continue to buy.
It may damage the uniqueness
Correct.
of
The answer is not in buying land. Let him buy land. No problem. Let him buy land and keep it. But don't allow that to be converted. See, he is buying land for commerce.
Yes.
Don't allow, let him buy land, let him buy as much land in Goa, no problem, he is not going to buy. If that land is not used for commerce, he will not buy. So if you, the moment you use your land for commerce, this is going to happen. Don't allow conversion. So even if he buys land, he will have to keep it fallow. If benefits are bought, he will let it keep fallow. So then he will sell it to you only.
There is a lot of fight against this. We have to change.
There are two practices of Goans. One is dual citizenship and one is special status.
What is that?
Special status and dual citizenship.
Yeah.
Is there any possibility or is it about?
See, according to me, special status is extremely difficult. It is a dream. I am not saying it is impossible. It is extremely difficult. One, it is possible. If you make out a case of your culture, you are getting old well, it may be possible. But dual citizenship is easy. It's extremely easy. In fact, in the year 2005, in the year 2005, when Vajpayee was the Prime Minister, Singhvi's father was heading the committee on NRIs, or on the diaspora, L.M. Singhvi's father. He had recommended that we should have dual citizenship. For everybody, anybody. But somehow, the government at that time, that Vajpayee was in power, but did not agree to dual citizenship and they brought the PI and OCI card. I am sure, if Congress was in power in 2005, it would have been a dual citizenship at that time. See, once you take a stand, it is difficult. Now, according to me, it is easy, but it should not be from our perspective. See, there are thousands of Sikhs in Canada. There are so many Gujaratis in. They should put pressure on the government. The Gujaratis, the Sikhs, they should put pressure. Goan pressure will not work. If they put pressure, then we should get dual citizenship will happen.
Huge numbers.
Yes, huge numbers are there.
This slogan which BJP was giving, 400 par,
Yeah.
it had happened, and if they wanted to change the constitution, was it possible to do it?
Yes. It was possible because they would have the majority. They would have such a majority that they would run short over it. And not only have the majority, they will think, and you will also think that they have the mandate to do it. We would also think at that time that, oh yes, people have given them mandate, so they demand.
The Supreme Court doesn't have powers to stop it.
See, Supreme Court has limited powers. Their powers are limited. It is not, see, for everything and anything, we depend on the courts. See, courts are there, But for everything, anything cannot come to the courts. Because policy making, law making is in the hands of the government.
What happens with the current situation of the numbers that they have, including both Rakshak as well as
I don't think they have numbers currently. And what has happened is, they did not have numbers and they did not have the mahal. But with the Maharashtra elections, they seem to have got strengthened. You know, it was somehow important that the Maharashtra was won. But Maharashtra has created that problem of, you know, what is called mahal or iba.
So Maharashtra people have not realized what by getting the Rakshak.
Yeah, what happens is elections is a different game. You know that better.
As we talk about that decreasing of the gap between the rich and the poor,
Yeah.
Rahul Gandhi's concept of distribution of wealth.
No, the present government doesn't believe in it.
Is it okay for the party to carry forward that concept? I mean, to explain to the people.
Why? According to me, instead of Adani, it should go in that form. The whole inequality position should be focused rather than attacking Adani. People also don't like that. That whole, you know, how we are becoming a unequal society is what we have to be focused. That we are back to square one.
Sir, can you explain about anti-conversion as per what the Constitution says? There's only on 3 counts can anti-conversion be put into place.
Fraud. See, conversion is not part of Constitution. That is clearly not part of Constitution. See, when this issue was debated, it was debated, well, so many days it was debated on conversions. And conversions was basically for Catholics. See, other communities don't convert. And it appears that at that time, they did not want these conversions to be a part of the Constitution. So that the Constitution does not speak on conversion at all. But there are various laws in the country which ban conversions by force, fraud and allurement. Now if you force somebody fraudulently, it's okay. But an allurement is a slightly difficult to prove. See, sometimes so many things are difficult to prove. Like marital rape. You know, marital rape. It is something that is difficult to prove. But not that if it is there, it should be removed from the books. No. But allurement also, but very difficult to prove. And it is this type of laws that create power to the government to harass you. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Papa. Really, you are given us an insight into the functioning of the Constitution and justification for amending our Constitution more than 100 times. I think Mr. Advocate Coutinho deserves a large applause from all of us. And now I request our General Secretary, Advocate Srinivas Kala, to propose the vote of thanks.
काँग्रेस पक्षाच्या वतीन हांव सगळ्यात पयलीं आमचे सिनियर एडवोकेट हायकोर्टाचे एडवोकेट क्लियोफर साहेब यांनी आपलो खरोच किमती असो वेळ काढलो हांगा आयले आनी आमकां सगळ्या काँग्रेसच्या कार्यकर्त्यांक आमच्या कॉन्स्टिट्युशना बद्दल म्हायती दिली. त्यामुळे सर आय एम रियली ग्रेटफुल टू यू ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ काँग्रेस पार्टी एंड ऑल्सो फॉर माय सेल्फ. थँक्यू व्हेरी मच. हांगासर आमचे लिडर ऑफ ऑपोजिशन जे आयले युरी बाब तांकां हांव थँक्यू म्हणटा. आमचे पार्टी प्रेसिडेंट तांकां थँक्यू म्हणटा. आमचे पार्टीचे MLA आसा रितन बाब तांकांय थँक्यू. आनी आमचे सिनियर लिडर आशिल्ले सारकेन बाब ते आतां ना आमच्या बरोबर भायर सल्ल्यात तांकां हांव थँक्यू म्हणटा. तशेंच पार्टीचे सगळे ऑफिस बेरर्स, जनरल सेक्रेटरी, आमचे सिनियर वायस प्रेसिडेंट बसले तुमी तांकां हांव थँक्यू म्हणटा. तशेंच आमचे डिस्ट्रिक्ट प्रेसिडेंट दोन्ही जे आसात तांकां हांव थँक्यू म्हणटा आनी पार्टीचे जे सगळे लोक येयले हांगासर. आयज आमच्या गोंयांत स्पेशली आयज एक व्हडलो गोष्ट जाल्लेली आसा. आयज आमची कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन आमची डेमोक्रेसी धोक्यान येयलेली आसा. आमी पळयला 2 दिसां पयलीं एक गोष्ट जाली. ग्राम सभेन एक मनीस गांवांतलो एक क्वेश्चन रेज करता की आमच्या गांवांत प्रॉब्लेम आसा. रुलिंग पार्टीचे एजंट ग्राम सभेन कॅमेराच्या फुड्यान ताका मारतात. इतकी वायट परिस्थिती डेमोक्रेसीचेर येयलेली आसा. म्हणून तुमी जे सगळे जे काँग्रेसचे सगळे पार्टीचे प्रेसिडेंट आनी वर्कर सगळे हांगा जमल्यात, तुमकां थँक्यू म्हणटा की तुमी हांगा आयले. कारण आमकां हेच इश्यू घेवन लोकांचे इश्यू घेवन आयज परत प्रत्येक गांवांत वचून प्रत्येक वोटराक सांगूंक जाय की तुमचे लायफ आयज जिवीत धोक्यान येयल्ले आसा. आनी म्हणून तुमी हांगा जमल्या म्हणून सगळ्यात व्हडलें थँक्यू हांव तुमकां म्हणटा. आनी तशेंच हांगासर जे मिडियाचे सगळे आमचे भाव जमल्या, तुमकां तुमच्या खातीर आयज आमच्या हे ल्हानशा ऑफिसान हांगासर जाग्यान बसून आमी उलयता. आनी तुमकां लागून आमचे विचार, सराचे विचार आनी भारताची कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन कितें, लोकांचे अधिकार कितें आनी कितें करूंक जाय लोकांनी स्वताच्या अधिकारा खातीर, ते तुमच्या खातीर आयज लोकां पर्यंत पावता म्हणून हांव तुमचें थँक्यू म्हणटा. देव